All right, we are live. Welcome, Wichita. I am Lieutenant Scott Bruno with the Wichita Police Department, Auto Theft Section. This is the inaugural edition, the first episode of our Crimecast. Crimecast will be the police department's attempt to bring you up-to-date crime stats, hotspots, things of that nature to help you stay safe and your neighbors stay safe, and bring in questions, bring in comments that you may have, address those, and you can contact us as well outside of this at crimelinkwpd@outlook.com. You can shoot emails to that address if you have any questions, comments, concerns, something that maybe you don't want to bring up live here. Just shoot me an email and we'll try to do our best and address what we can. So even today, as comments come in, I won't be able to address everything. We'll have to kind of pick and choose what we get and what we can address. But I do have some hotspot maps for you today as well, some numbers, some crime prevention tips. So bear with me as well, being the first episode of this. There'll be some growing pains. It may take me a couple of clicks to get things going, but hopefully over time this evolves. And you'll see some changes as well. We may take some stuff out. We may add some stuff. So it's evolving as we go. Just looking. I do see 148 people are watching currently. It's growing. I'll wait for a few more people to get in here. Any questions or comments or anything from anybody so far? Again, this will mainly cover property crimes. We're going to be looking at burglaries, auto thefts, larcenies. I don't have any gun numbers today, but in the future we will add some theft or gun theft numbers as well. I will tell you, overnight we had 7 cars were stolen in Wichita. 2 of those were reported to have guns in them as well. And that's not a good thing. Don't keep your guns in your cars. Now, I will bring you some up-to-date information as well. Year to date, with gun thefts, not today. I don't have those numbers. We will get those probably in the future. So we are up to 157 people. Let's move in a little bit to our PowerPoint. What I should be able to do here as well, if I remember, I've got my mouse. I can share my screen with you. Give me a second here. Click on the right button. And I'm not going to bore you to death with a PowerPoint here, but we do have, we'll go over our crime stat numbers. You can see our larceny to auto numbers. Year to date, 5,924 cars have been broken into. That's a lot of cars. People don't realize how many cars get broken into in Wichita. They think they have a small chance of their car getting broken into, so they leave their purse, their wallet, their gun, their computer, their cell phone in there. When 5,924 cars are broken into so far year to date, you have a pretty good chance of your car of becoming a victim of a larceny to auto. And you can see that number over here is up 2% over last year. Right in there. Whoops. Go back. Month to month, pretty much stayed even. Looking at the last 28 days compared to the 28 days prior to that. And then the week to week, larceny to autos, you'll see that go up to down. We're at minus 20%. That number varies quite a bit just based on a 7-day average. And you can have one weekend where a little crime spree occurs and may drive those numbers up. So a couple of hot spots for you here if you're looking in the area. Tyler and Central, there's a lot of businesses in this area, some apartment complexes. We do have a little bit of a hot spot there. This is the last 28 days. The last 28 days, Central and Tyler area, and then moving right down Tyler as well along Kellogg. Some businesses in here as well. I know you've got the Home Depot that sits in there. There's a little shopping mall, several other businesses, and then residential neighborhood. So if you're in those areas, keep in mind you are in a hot spot area for larcenies to autos. That's people breaking into your cars and stealing items. Next hot spot larceny from auto. Again, this is just the last 28 days. We see just north of downtown or the downtown area along Central, Topeka and Emporia area, a little bit of a hot spot in here. And then the Old Town area, north of Douglas, south of First Street, right along Washington Avenue. So there's a lot of cars, a lot of people. Anywhere you tend to have a lot of cars, a lot of people. We have new apartments, new condos that are coming into the area there. Anytime you have that combination, cars are going to get broken into. So a lot of people, a lot of cars, larcenies to autos. So, and another hot spot again off of Rock Road, south of Harry, down in this area. We see a lot of apartment complexes in this area. And again, where you have a lot of apartments, you have a lot of people and a lot of cars. So those larceny to autos tend to follow. Make sure you're keeping stuff out of your cars. Make sure you're keeping your cars locked and parking in well-lit areas. Do the best that you can to help prevent those crimes from occurring. Catalytic converter thefts are new. This year we've seen, well, they're not new, but this year we've seen a dramatic increase in catalytic converter thefts. What is a catalytic converter? It's a part of your exhaust system on your car. It sits just before the muffler. Looks real similar to your muffler. They can vary in size and shape, but the catalytic converter itself contains precious metals that help filter pollutants out of your exhaust. Those three precious metals are worth quite a bit in the recycling world. So people will cut off your catalytic converter, take it to a recycler, and sell it. We've seen year to date a 171% increase in our catalytic converter thefts. This year, 465 compared to 168 last year. So that's quite a bit of an increase. And this is a crime, the damage can range from a few $100s to a few $1,000s, depending on what you have, what your vehicle is. Smaller compact vehicles are going to be a little bit less to replace. Big trucks, Ford F-350s, Chevy trucks, dualies, hauling trucks, stuff like that. The catalytic converters can be pretty huge and can cost thousands of dollars to replace. And it only takes a matter of seconds for a person to climb under the car, use a cutoff tool, and remove it. So we've seen those pick up quite a bit. And actually following the larceny to auto trend as well, our hot spot with catalytic converters, Tyler and Central area, again, businesses and apartment complexes, residential areas. These occur in the daytime probably just as much as they do in the nighttime. A lot of times in the daytime, it may be a big parking lot on the outskirts. The suspects may see a vehicle sitting there. They're out of their car, they're underneath the victim's vehicle, and within a minute, they've got the catalytic converter cut off and they're gone. So like I say, daytime, nighttime, you really have to be vigilant, pay attention, and watch. So another hot spot for catalytic converter thefts, we're looking the downtown area again, right around Central, Topeka, Emporia, St. Francis Avenue, coming into the St. Francis Hospital area as well. A lot of businesses, a lot of daytime activity going on in there, a lot of people coming and going. So keep that in mind. Try to park where you can see your vehicle. Try to park where there's a lot of people around. Try to avoid those outskirt areas. If you're parking at a residence or a business, if there's a fenced in lot, try to park within that. Have surveillance cameras. Just do what you can to watch and try to get what evidence you can if it does happen or if you know anybody this happens to. Auto thefts year to date, we had a good year last year. We ended the year 2019, we were down, I want to say 8 or 9%. This year we are still down, but not quite, a little bit less than that. We're down 1% year to date on auto theft, still showing 2,100 cars have been stolen in Wichita compared to 2,128 last year, year to date. Looking at our month to month numbers in the middle here, we see over a 28-day period compared to the 28-day period before that, a 17% decrease. 187 auto thefts compared to 225. And then our 7-day average on the far left, 1 week prior to the week before. 2 weeks ago, we had a pretty good increase of last week, we had a pretty good increase of 23% compared to the week before. Again, those 7-day averages, you'll see quite a bit of variance in there. A certain crime spree may happen over a weekend or over, a Tuesday, Wednesday that drives those numbers up. So hot spots over the last 28 days. For auto thefts, we're looking at Kellogg and Rock Road to the east. We've got several businesses. We've got hotels in that area. Keep that in mind. Again, try to park in well-lit areas. Keep your cars locked. Do not keep your keys in your cars, and do not leave your cars running. We see a tremendous amount, especially at this time of year with the cold weather, of people leaving their cars running, and they run inside for a minute and they come out and their car's gone. Hazarding a guess, minimum 30% of vehicles that are stolen have the keys left in them or are running. And that's a tremendous amount of vehicles that are basically easy or made easier for the suspects to steal. We have people in Wichita that drive around literally looking for cars that are running. When they see one, they jump out and steal it. So you have to keep that in mind, and it literally only takes seconds. So don't leave your cars running. Don't leave a spare key in your car, and don't leave a key fob in your car as well. A lot of people will leave a spare key fob in their car, but they lock the doors. A suspect comes along, tries the doors. The vehicle recognizes the spare key fob is sitting in the console and unlocks the doors for the person that tries it. And then the person's able to start the car and drive off with it as well. So keep those key fobs and your keys out of your vehicle. Another hot spot for auto thefts over the last 28 days. We're looking kind of the core area south of Kellogg, north of Lincoln, around the Main and Market area. We've had a hot spot in there over the last 28 days. Burglary residentials, we are really not surprised. We are impressed with our numbers for burglaries. Last couple of years, we have really saw a downtrend in our burglary to residences, which is excellent. Probably a certain number of factors are helping with that, but year to date, our burglaries are down 19%. We've had 1,237 burglaries if you're looking at the far right of the screen, compared to 1,522 last year. And then the last 28 days compared to the 28 days prior to that, we're down 15%. In the middle of the chart, 123 compared to 144 from the month before. We attribute a lot of that to people being home, and video surveillance as well has become so prevalent. Ring doorbells, Nest cameras, different platforms really helps identify suspects and help prevent those crimes. So a hot spot for you here the last 28 days on burglaries to residences. Almost a core area. Again, we're looking at north of Central, up along Murdoch, Topeka, Broadway, and Market area in here. Even a little bit further west, we've got a lot of apartment complexes over in here along 3rd Street and Central Avenue by Waco. Again, apartment complexes bring a lot of people and a lot of cars into small areas, and we see some of our property crimes kind of follow those. So do what you can in those areas. Keep your doors locked. Do what you can for video surveillance. If you can afford it, do it. Have your neighbors, get to know your neighbors and have them watch your residence and your apartment as well. Work together on that. So that's the end of the slideshow. This will be ever growing, ever changing as we continue on with our Crimecast presentation. And that was a quick really look at some of the trends that are occurring, some of the trends that we'll continue to address. I've got Charlie Davidson, one of the public information officers for the department, sitting over here with me. I know he's been addressing comments, I think, as we've been going.
Yes. One question, Lieutenant, I didn't have that maybe you could answer was, let me find it again here. It was about how many of the cars are left running unattended with their keys in it. By Julie. Julie LaForce asked that. How many of those cars are left running by their car owners?
You know, if we had a check box on our auto theft reports for that, If you didn't hear Charlie sitting over, he had a question come in. It was from Julie. She asked how many cars are stolen that are left running, basically, right?
Correct.
We don't have a checkbox per se on the report for that. I also feel a lot of people, or not a lot, some people don't report that because they're afraid their insurance won't cover their loss. We see an uptick in running auto thefts at this time of year just due to the cold weather. At least one vehicle overnight, as I was looking through the reports that came in, was left running. So to pull those numbers, we would have to literally go through each auto theft and look through the synopsis, the narrative, and see how many people reported it. So I do know a lot of people don't report that they left their keys in their car, because we see a lot of cars that are recovered and the keys are in it. So we do have some people that do tell us, yeah, I left my keys in there. So that's an easy one, I believe, to help decrease the numbers of auto thefts, is not leaving your keys in your cars, leaving them locked, and not leaving your key fobs in there as well, and not leaving them running. Another good point on that is don't leave your guns in your cars. Overnight, we did have 2 guns that were stolen. 2 of the 7 cars that were stolen had guns in them. So that does not help out either. Keeping your gun in your car, that's not a good place to do that. If you're running into a business or somewhere and you want to leave your gun in your car, they make lock boxes, secure boxes that you can put in your car, to leave it in, just so it's not sitting in there waiting to be stolen. Let's see. I see Karen, a comment from Karen. I know at least a couple of churches experience catalytic converter thefts. Again, yeah, churches, you bring, the thing is, suspects know when church is in session, and they know there's going to be a lot of people and a lot of cars there. We tend to see cars broken into, catalytic converter thefts, things like that occur in those areas. So keep that in mind when you're attending church. You've brought a lot of people, a lot of cars into a small area. Don't leave any valuables in your car. Make sure they're locked. And as far as catalytic converters go, people need to be vigilant and watch. If churches could have a security person just watch the parking lot, while church is in session. Maybe they, I know some churches ask, a member to kind of stand outside and just watch everything while church is in session. So maybe that's something you can look at doing.
They also talked about what do officers do? Are they provided these hotspot maps, and do they patrol these areas?
We had a question come in. Do the officers get the hotspot maps, and do they patrol these areas? Yeah, all the bureaus, the department gets we call it CompStat, a weekly presentation of this as well. It's a little bit more detailed, a little bit more information involved with it for department members. Those go out to the field bureaus. The captains get them. Community policing is getting them. We're sharing them at the bureaus and asking the officers as well when they have time, that they need to be watching these areas. And real quickly, also, our crime analyst, Allie, is sitting over here. Allie is responsible for the PowerPoint, and she'll be responsible as well for gathering a lot of these numbers for us, putting this together. When you ask for something or I change something, I'm going to go to Allie and I'm going to say, can you add this? So big thanks to Allie and her continued support, hopefully. Okay, well, thank you. I know, thanks to Charlie for addressing a lot of the comments that came in and stuff sitting over here. And I think for our first edition of Crimecast, we will, bring it to an end here. A couple of things: crime prevention. We've talked about catalytic converters. We've talked about leaving our keys in our cars. Porch pirates, what can we do about them? It is that time of year where it's between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We're ordering a lot more items online from Amazon, eBay, online retailers. They're being delivered to our houses. A lot of packages are sitting on our doorsteps. And we do tend to see an increase this time of year in our porch pirate thefts, people coming up on your porch and stealing your packages. What can you do about that? Get to know your neighbors. Probably number one, have them watch your house, watch their house, know their routines, know your neighborhood as well, and just know what's suspicious, what isn't. If you can, with FedEx or UPS, if you can try to schedule your delivery to when you will be home so you can get that package and you don't have to leave it on your porch unattended, you can do that. You can also, I know with FedEx, you can ask them to drop your package off at Walgreens. I believe they work with several different businesses. And you can go to Walgreens after they drop off your package. You get a notification, go in there, show ID, and you can pick up your package at any time. Amazon, I know, has some lock boxes around town that they use, at least ones at a Quick Trip. Do you know where there's more of those at?
What's that?
The Amazon drop boxes that they'll use secure boxes for deliveries.
I don't know.
You can check with Amazon and see on that, but I know I've seen at least one of those at a Quick Trip. Looking at my notes here, I've got some bullet points over here. If you're watching, or if you want to, go to YouTube as well, find the Wichita Police Department, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell for notifications. That way, when we go live, you'll get a notification that we're live. You can come in and watch. We should be live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter all at the same time. And I've had our email address up there, crimelinkWPD@outlook.com. Follow the police department on Twitter at Wichita Police and myself at Auto Theft WPD. That's on Twitter. And I am Lieutenant Scott Bruno. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot me an email at crimelinkWPD@outlook.com, and we'll try to address what we can. Until then, I think we will see you next week. Stay safe and watch yourself and watch your neighbors, Wichita. Thanks for watching.